No, we're live. Okay, hello everyone.
We're live.
I just wanted
We'll do it live.
to do that just to see what happened, right? All right. So tonight we have Mason Devereux on. He's how did I actually meet you? I met you at Market Grounds.
Yes,
right?
you met me at Market Grounds.
I was probably really drunk.
I actually met your brother first.
Yeah.
I met your brother first. And dude, your brother is next level when it comes to anything political, philosophy. Dude, you just have to let that guy go. It just jam pearls of wisdom come out of his mouth. Yeah. And you just nod politely as he just goes off on tangents. And it's actually captivating and entertaining. I think
that's it.
Good. Yeah,
honestly, I've learned so much. Like, it's just over the last 5 years, 3 years that he's really started becoming more like that as well. Yeah. It's just like from reading more books and like having more spare time where you can actually, think about things in more logical ways. But I've always just been in the DJ industry, partying and doing this and doing that I've never really I have taken notice, but haven't taken notice. Yeah. But now it's like every time I have conversations about it, it's just absorbing so much information. Yeah. 100%. Also, everyone, tonight Damo's gonna be having a little bit of a say, which is good. Because tonight's gonna be an interesting episode because we're gonna be, instead of being more about, because you're not involved in the DJ industry.
No, I mean, look, we could have a conversation about music, but it would be very short-lived. We'd probably start talking about pop music, and everyone's got like a very acquired taste in music usually. So everyone would tune out. They'd be like, "Oh, far out! He's talking about Bieber. He's talking about Ariana Grande, Maroon 5, Robbie Williams."
Yeah, I mean, Robin Williams is not too bad. He's all right. He's all right.
Good entertainment.
Yeah, he's like classic pop. So. You've written books. You're a researcher. What else do you do? Like, what's your involvement in today's society?
What's my involvement in today's society? Yeah. Well, so just like to summarize, maybe like the last 5 years. So I went and I did a commerce degree at Curtin. After that, I went briefly into the industry to kind of experience what that was like. And don't get me wrong, the business world is all right. Like, I went into assistant mortgage broking. That was okay. But I found just the personality types and the people that I was working with rather a bit bland, a bit boring. And unless you're like super fascinated with finance, like you got a boner about it, like a big boner about finance, then it wasn't probably for me. So then I kind of like took a good hard look at myself in the mirror. I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And then I was like, I'll go back to uni and do a computer science degree. Because what I had done previously is I'd set up a social media platform, and I did that with a group of mates. But the crux of that is I couldn't program myself, so I didn't really have much control over the product that I was selling. So yeah.
So what actually drove you to? Because I mean, like for me,
Yep.
I went off and did a business degree when I first moved out of home, but I didn't really have a direction. So my parents kind of guided me in a direction because they own a business and I've always been involved in that business. So I thought I would actually be good in business. So I go off and do that. What drove you to go and do a business degree?
Yeah, so it was part and parcel of the fact that I was at the time assembling camper trailers for my mum's partner's business.
Okay.
So he's got a camper trailer business where he sells camper trailers, and I was just doing the labouring work. Like I was constructing these camper trailers and stuff like that. And it got to a stage where I was content, like I was working pretty well with it, and it was all good, but my boss at the time, who's my mum's partner, Dennis McCarthy, great guy, literally goes, Mason, like, go to uni. Like, he just pushed me in the direction. So I didn't go out with the intention of, like, loving commerce, which is why I'm doing a computer science degree, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
I wasn't, my parents have always been, like, the types of people that, like, we don't really care what you do. You can be a happy garbage man for all we care as long as you're happy.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, like for me and like my perspective, it's always been like, you know, you got to be able to make enough money to be able to get by and be happy. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you have to pay your bills kind of thing. Right?
For sure.
And that's just a part of life. So, but then, so how long were you, so you completed your business degree and what did you major in and stuff?
So I majored in international business and I minored in entrepreneurship.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So then from there, like, cause you said, sorry, I missed a gap there, but like you said you started actually, you made the business.
Yeah, so I founded a company. It's deregistered now because we're redeveloping the platform.
Was that straight after you finished or?
That was during. So it was during university. It was, I was a little bit foolish to do that because probably needed to devote. I did devote like a copious amount of time. And in fact, if I reflect on it correctly, I think I was one semester away from graduating. I dropped out to pursue and to see where the company went.
Really?
But then I ended up coming back because I was persuaded by my parents to do so. I was like, they're like, get the degree, get the degree.
So you got to get the bit of paper.
It's fine, because what it ended up happening is I ended up becoming this kind of like, I suppose, just the funder of like marketing, the development costs of like all the programmers and all that kind of stuff. Instagram following and stuff like that. We've still got it's Memefluence, so you can look that up on Instagram, guys, if you want to check out all the memes that I've paid for. Yeah, so that's good. But yeah, it was really just driven by me reading a book called The Googleization of Everything, and that got me to really focus in on just like how much power these tech companies have.
That's it.
In America. And then I thought to myself, look, I'd be foolish to kind of like try to admit that like I myself would be able to compete, but I was like, well, everyone thinks that this oligopoly in the market is completely undefeatable. And I thought to myself, well, Microsoft came along whilst IBM was reigning supreme, and look what happened in the long span of time. So I just wanted to kind of open the door for more players in the social media space, really.
Well, that's exactly it. And that's one of those things where it's like, they're not going away. They're not disappearing. Like Google, like I brought this up yesterday with Mitch. We weren't actually live when we were talking about this, but I found a meme, and the meme, I'm pretty sure it was actually an excerpt from, however you say it, from Forbes magazine. But apparently people are considering giving Amazon and Facebook a seat at the UN. I don't know if that's true or not. Is
that right?
Yeah, but imagine if that happened though. Like,
well, I don't even know if it's necessary, because the way I view it, dude, is we almost like live in a technocracy, bro. Like we almost live in a society that in which these companies are so large in the US that you could argue that because of their lobbying influence in Washington, that pretty much there's no dividing lines between a lot of the power, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and just in terms of pure money, if you think about it that way.
Well, that's exactly it. And that's where it's like, you know what happened recently, it was like last year or the year before when the Australian government stuffed up with the whole thing with Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
And we just didn't have the news here. And it was so good. It was amazing not having that bullshit. But the thing is, though, is it's like, they have that much power that they can actually put governments into, you know, push them into the corner kind of thing.
If you look at it really closely, it's really fascinating. Like, if you just take, like, the origin story of Facebook, dude. Like, this guy was in one of the best places in the world to be in. Because you've got these, like, tech geniuses, really. That are just, like, kind of coalescing in this one place in Silicon Valley. Sean Parker, I reckon, is, like, underrated in his kind of, like, influence. So the guy that founded Napster, he was like the first president of Facebook, got kicked out eventually. But like he was like the quintessential salesman. And I reckon in the early years when Facebook was still going up against MySpace, he was like essential for their growth. But yeah, I think you just have to be very myopic about it, man. And like you have to live, breathe, and just sweat it all. And like there's a lot of people that have come out that have previously worked for Zuckerberg in the past, become YouTubers and stuff like that, and they respect the hell out of him. But like when it comes to hierarchy, the guy's big on that. Yeah. Like if you step out of line in terms of like wanting to like do something your way, he's like, no, none of that.
No, that's
so he's very
but it's his platform.
I'm not going to say dictatorial because I've never met the man, right? Yeah. It's very hard to kind of try and understand where his
but I can see the character. I can see the characteristics of it being almost like a dictatorial like kind of thing, because that's where it's just he's literally pulling the strings on this multi-trillion-dollar company basically in Silicon Valley, and it's like, you know, like what I said, like everybody has Facebook. Everybody. And it's like, you know, TikTok and Instagram, but he's just buying these things up. Not TikTok, not yet, because I mean it's owned by the Chinese, but you know, he owns Instagram, he owns WhatsApp, he owns all these little subsidiary companies, just like Google does as well. And with that, like they just have the monopoly on the internet almost. Not so much like, well, on the internet to an extent.
Yeah, sure.
Because that's the thing, is like, you know, there's so much that makes the internet up, but people look at Facebook for their news these days. Like,
we just have to think about like what people have dependencies on, man. Like, just think of what would happen if Google was out for like a day, dude. There's so many jobs out there where Googling something is like a commonplace like element of the job. Like what I'm doing right now in computer science. Half the time, people that are like competent in computer programming tell me, dude, half the time it's just like you researching, find out what to do, code it. And without like Stack Overflow and all these sites that are accessible through Google, obviously that you can access them without Google, but at the same time, being able to have access to this huge absorbent amount of information is amazing. Yeah,
that's it. And that's where it's also nuts as well, because like, I mean, it's a bit of conspiracy at the moment, but it was like that horse dewormer thing, and apparently like, I mean, for COVID, right? Because like, I'm not anti-vax, everyone should get vaccinated and stuff like that.
Sure.
Right? Is he? Just give me a second, guys.
No worries.
I love the cat. It's how it looks like an old like 50s movie when they would have like the angles of like the giant rats like killing the city.
Yeah, but you know, it's interesting because like, so I have a few friends on Facebook that are anti-vaxxers, right? And they started sharing all these articles, like, well, not sharing, they're sharing the same article, right? About how this horse dewormer thing, right? In India, in a province in India, apparently they were giving out these packs where it was like magnesium, vitamin C, and this horse dewormer and a few other things. And then they managed to get rid of COVID by 90% or something like that.
Yeah.
But then when you Google that, right? And you Google that, and you haven't turned off all the little features and stuff like that, it just shows you results from Australia. You know, Sydney Morning Herald, the Western Australian, this and that. And it's all just like fitting the narrative in a way.
Right, yeah.
And that's where like, you know, we can go into the whole thing with the Murdoch media, because then like...
Yeah, that's huge.
Exactly. Like,
Ruddy's big against that.
Yeah?
Yeah, Kevin Rudd.
That's it. But the thing is like, they say out of every single real article, 4 fake articles will pop up.
Yeah.
And so with that, it's like, what can you actually believe on the internet anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, because these days, a lot of the common, like, establishment players in the world, it's really hard to try and put any kind of faith in them, right? Because you mentioned, like, the media, yeah? I mean, I don't think there's been more skepticism over the media after, like, 2016. primarily because of Trumpy kind of like hammering on the media. And it's been done before. So he's not the first president to absolutely attack the media like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of like, first of all, you can't trust the media. All right, well, that's fine. Then you go, oh, well, can you trust the government? I mean,
yeah, can you trust the government?
Not really. It's like it's kind of like if someone issues a political correct statement. Like, I don't even mean, you don't even have to be a politician, guys, if you're listening to this. But someone that's like clearly censoring and filtering what they're saying and looking like a diplomat. Looking like a bit of a moron, I suppose, and trying to use like whatever big language and stuff like that. You just don't trust it. There's no authenticity in that. And I think, yeah, just the lack of trust in establishment figures these days is kind of like a real problem.
Yeah.
And like what you were saying earlier, it really comes down to the control of the flow of information.
That's
and
it.
how that's structured.
And that's where it's so crazy, right? Because it's like, can you pull up the video of Lebanon blowing up? Like, it was so hectic because, you know, basically, you know, whether a different country or whatever left that supply of nitrate there and it sat in a warehouse for God knows how long, but then it exploded, right? And it was all over the news for a day. For one day, it was all over the news and then it disappears. But people forget, it's like, Lebanon's gone through the shit house now. It's like, it's gone from like maybe a second world country to a third world country because of that. Yeah, that's it, right? $15 billion in property damage. And, like, for them to recover from that, that's nuts. But it just disappears from the news, right? And then I was explaining this in my little course that I'm doing for diploma, where you have something like the evergreen, right? And where the evergreen literally drew a dick in the ocean and then lodged itself in that canal and everyone had to use the old school, like, around Africa kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is with that is, since it's a meme... And since it's funny because it drew a dick in the ocean using the GPS, right? Then it's in the news and people are talking about it and social media and everything because it's just like, you know, and people are doing things like...
What gets clicks, what gets views, what gets ad revenue, yeah.
That's exactly it. And isn't it just so crazy, the marketing behind stuff like that? Because then it's like the relevant stuff, which I mean is relevant and isn't relevant because we live in WA in Perth, most isolated city in the world.
Yeah.
But when you hear about things such as like Lebanon going up in flames... But it's like, shouldn't you be not worried? But it's like, it's interesting stuff. It's real news kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because they're struggling. But then it just comes down to what people can find either funny or attractive or the clickbait kind of stuff. As you said, like...
Yeah.
Don't you think? Yeah?
Well, no, 100%. No, I agree with you. I was just trying to like think to myself about... there was a guy that I had on my podcast, right? And he was the author of this book called The Intelligence Trap, right? And he was like... Within this book, he was like telling everyone who read it how information is structured in the news because the guy like was a journalist for BBC or whatever, and he was just saying like if you put an image next to like a news headline, it just gives it more instant kind of authority in the viewer's eyes, and it was fascinating because there's so many ways in which an individual's cognitive bias can like conflict with what is actually going on and what's actually true and accurate.
That's it.
And we do live in this day and age of misinformation. And media control, I think, is a huge thing, what you're going on about there. Because when it comes down to it, we do live in a globalized, connected world. And I would rather know about Lebanon than, I don't know, maybe some funny cat.
Yeah, that's exactly it,
whatever,
right?
Yeah.
But that's it. And it's one of those things as well where it's like with the whole idea of photos and pictures and stuff, a picture can tell 1,000 words.
Sure.
But then actually having a reporter like live there or actually describing 100% what's going on without the filtered part of it, then it's like it's a better perspective kind of thing. But it's just like it has to fit the narrative in today's day and age.
I think it also comes down to this kind of misconception over the past few years, and I don't know if you agree on this, disagree with me if you want to with this one,
let's go.
is that people reckon that the attention span of people has kind of slipped.
Yeah, 100%.
And it has to an extent, but I mean, then explain to me like this, the podcast format.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to have some an okay attention span to pay attention to a podcast properly for at least like 3 hours.
Yeah, but that's what like even some people do. They put on a Joe Rogan episode and go off and do other things. They have the audio playing in the background, kind of thing, which isn't a bad thing because it's still playing and you're not 100% switched on. But with the whole idea of the attention span, without a doubt, like with the invention of mobile phones, like how old are you? Quickly?
I am 27.
Yeah, 20. So I'm 28. Yeah. We grew up with, Motorola Razrs and Nokia brick phones and stuff like that. And that's the thing is like growing up with that, and then the iPhone comes out. there was actually like a study done. I don't know if you might be able to pull up something like it, but I think the average attention span went from like in the 90s from 14 seconds to 8 seconds or something. Almost half.
Well, the only like way that I know that I can improve my attention span these days, man, is just reading.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, that might sound boring to someone that's listening to a podcast. Bro, don't talk about reading. But like, if you can engage yourself in something that's actually not bad, dude, it does wonders for the attention span.
Yep.
It's good for emotional regulation. Like, you're gonna good for escapism.
And it's great for mental visualization.
Exactly.
Which is something I think is definitely slipping.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with podcasting, because you're watching guys talk and you're not imagining. Even a radio show back in the day, that non-visual element definitely played a part, I think.
Yeah, because you just think about exactly, Damo. You just think about like the process that your human mind has to take from words on a paper to taking it to like the meaning of the words, and then taking it to some sort of imaginative place where you can put some sort of visual concept to any example that you're thinking about to make sense of what's going on.
Exactly.
And there's a lot more work there than just relaxing.
That's it. And that's where it's just so nuts, because in a way, today's society, people are all about things right there, right in front of them, kind of thing.
Just look at the average length of a newspaper article.
Yeah, exactly.
So small, man.
Yeah, that's it. And then back in the day as well, it was more in depth. It was good. It was more research done on it. But now it has to fit that narrative. And that's also like, I wanted to bring up the whole thing where like I've got a mate, right? And I don't really chat to him that much anymore. I do see him on occasion, but he doesn't like, he moved over here from New Zealand, right? Doesn't have a driver's license and can't really cook in a way for himself, but he only orders off of Uber Eats. Okay. And so the thing is, like, you know, he's
only orders over Uber Eats.
Yeah, like
I'd be walking.
That's it, right? Yeah.
If I couldn't cook, I'd be walking to fast food.
He works at a bank, right?
Okay, yeah,
and he's on 6 figures. But then he basically spends all of his money on food because it's delivery. It's straight to your door. It takes that part out of it. And that's where, like, society and human civilization, we're becoming lazier. Like, look at, you know, the classic example of, like, Texas back in, like, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever it was. People on mobility scooters and they can't even fit through, like, a shopping door kind of thing. But the thing is with that is that if they didn't have that ease of access and they actually had to do things like 200 years ago, it's like fight and actually, you know, hunt and actually gather and this and that to be able to survive, it's kind of almost backflipped, and now it's everyone's getting lazier to the point where it's
well, 100%, because it comes down to the point where, like, just think about it, like, when everyone talks about moderation, like, when's the last time you heard someone actually seriously moderate things, unless they're obsessed with dieting or anything like that? Like, we've got, like you said, so much ease of access to abundance of information, abundance of pornography if you wanted to. Anything that you wanted to pretty much do, abundance of food, like at the press, like for example, there would be effort required to go out and get fast food rather than just click on your app and order Uber Eats.
Exactly.
There's actual effort associated with the reward. And we're kind of taking out of that kind of the fact that there needs to be some sort of initial kind of the pain pleasure kind of barriers in your mind aren't even work. That's what I mean.
Exactly.
There's no work
and it's almost like a dopamine hit. You know, if someone sits on Uber Eats and is scrolling through restaurants and they go, yeah, I'm gonna get this, and they get that, and then it rocks up to the door, it's almost like bang, like, yes, sweet, my food's here. Instead of going, okay, I'm actually gonna drive down and go get it, kind of thing, or, you know, call them up or whatever.
That's exactly how developers talk, by the way. I know, like, a few of my mates that are programmers, that's exactly how they talk. Right. Yeah. When it comes to the human level of IT, they're always thinking about, how can I give human beings that dopamine hit? I'm serious. It gets a little bit creepy. Yeah. It gets a little bit creepy. I'm not going to lie. But if you want to kind of create a app that grows, I mean,
it has to be like that, right? You have to get the clicks. And that's where it's like crazy, like, because, you know, like things like TikTok, right? And it's owned by the Chinese, but it's just video after video after video. There's no text. There's no ads. Well, there might be ads, but there's no, like, you know, it's not like Facebook where you scroll. You have to actually interact like a bit more kind of thing. It's simplified so much that when you have like a mass population, which is basically, it's like how it is now, they get addicted to these things and they just like can't break free of it. In a way, because it's like, you know, the mind over matter principle.
Sure.
Where it's like, you know, if you smoke cigarettes, right, and you can't live without smoking cigarettes, then your mind is like, the matter has the matter has your mind engulfed, kind of thing. In a way.
Yeah.
In a way, because the addiction part of it, the addiction chemical, has got you going, well, I need a cigarette.
Yeah.
But if you can be, it's not so much smart enough, but if you can actually like think about it in a logical way of like, but why though? Why do I need it?
Yeah, well, I comment like because I'm a smoker myself.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
I think about why I smoke, and after a while, if you smoke cigarettes, and I think there's a lot of people that can kind of relate to this, it becomes a part of your identity.
Yeah.
To the point it gets kind of ridiculous.
Exactly.
Like if you're out on a Friday or Saturday night, you're just like, where's something missing from my hand? I need to be smoking, I need to be doing something.
And it's the social atmosphere. It's the way marketing and media and everything has kind of painted it.
And even though we know it's horrible for us.
Yeah, but it's still the social aspect or just being able to just like, it's the cognitive ability to just go, yeah, I need a cigarette.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with drinking as well. Yeah. Like,
why is vaping being banned? Do you reckon that's got anything to do with the cigarette companies?
I think it's just because they can't tax it as much as cigarettes.
Okay, yeah. So
I honestly think it's
a
that.
government thing.
Because like, if you're a smoker, I smoke as well occasionally, and the thing that, I've been smoking for a while, but like I've gone off cigarettes for like 14 days or 13 days now. I'm gonna try and keep going.
Over the hill.
That's it, right? But how often do you see advertisements for, say, alcohol, or how often, like, with cigarettes, it's like, when you go out into, say, the hospitality industry, it's engulfed by it kind of thing. Like, it's so uncommon for someone to work in the hospitality industry and not be a cigarette smoker kind of thing. But that's just like, it's not sheep mentality, but it's just the way it's kind of unraveled in a way. Because, like, I was explaining this.
I think Hollywood has a huge influence over smoking.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it the other day. I was having an off day, a pretty boring day. I was with myself. I watched maybe 3 rom-coms.
Okay.
Dude, there was a main character in all those movies where they smoked. Dude, again and again they smoked. And I'm like, oh god, I just want to relax from my smoking addiction and just freaking relax. And then I've got like some Hollywood actor making it look cool.
There was this rom-com I remember watching that years back where there's literally like, the meet cute is them buying cigarettes. Like he's buying his cigarettes from a deli and the girl comes in saying, no, that brand is cheap. But it burns too quick, so you can't actually enjoy it. So they actually go outside and test their hypothesis by smoking cigarettes together. And that's how they meet and date each other.
That's it, right?
That's insane.
It's the subliminal marketing behind, media and everything that just, you watch a movie and you see a McDonald's logo, so you want to eat McDonald's now kind of thing. And it's like, when those big ass companies inject that money into these like, films, TV shows, whatever it is, it's subliminally trying to hook the market onto their product.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, man, has to do with this. It has to do with the fact that the public's perception of general psychology has increased over the years. Like, people have been super fascinated with the human mind.
Yeah.
And just how to hook people. How to get people to get another person to, like, buy another hamburger, smoke another cigarette, drink some more alcohol. But it's all pretty basic, because on a human level you go, okay, what makes me happy? And then you go, okay, well, if I'm going to get someone else to buy my product, then I just need to create some sort of happiness. The illusion that it's going to make them happy.
And that's exactly it. And that's where, like, we were talking about this in Diploma as well, where it's quite funny that this bloody cat. Damo, can you put the cat outside if that's
I'm going to
right?
have to.
Yeah, sorry.
Totally talk about. You've heard about this documentary though?
Oh no, leave him now. If he does anything else, we'll kick him out.
The Center of the Self with about Edward Bernays. He was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, and he became a PR consultant in America after going there from Germany.
That sounds alright. And what is it? Is it an album or is it?
No. It's a series, a documentary series.
Okay, I might actually check that out.
Pretty good. It's pretty good. No, sorry. He was talking to his uncle, Sigmund Freud, when he visited him in like Switzerland, I think, and he was basically saying, "Hey, how can I like market this? How can I use this in America?" He's like, "Well, you shouldn't, but here's how you do it." And yeah, it was very interesting how he essentially founded the first marketing firm, more or less, and applied these very deep psychological ideas and use it to sell products.
I love the title of that, Century of the Self. Because, like, dude, if you're just thinking about that was Edward Haynes, was it? And what, Sigmund Freud's, was it brother, was it?
Nephew.
Nephew, okay. Yeah, dude, if you just think about it that way, I mean, I'm just reflecting on so many times where the baby boomers have called millennials narcissistic. Come on, this stuff has been deeply ingrained into everyone.
That's it.
By the looks of it, anyway.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. And that's where it is just like, it makes money, so they're going to keep doing it, and they're not going to stop doing it. But the thing is like, as I said just a bit before, it's like the whole sheep mentality, the herd mentality, where it's just nuts seeing how many people get addicted to either clothing brands or just brands in general, kind of thing. You know, like the whole idea behind Mercedes. It's like Mercedes is painted as like this amazing, you know, luxury car. But then you can still buy a Toyota that's luxury. Like, you know, you can get some really nice Camrys with marble wood and all this and all that. But but it's like owning a BMW and a Mercedes.
Dude, even for me with cars, it comes back to access again too.
Yeah.
Because like my childhood, I have to explain this quickly. My dad like been in the car sales industry for like ever. So like growing up, we were in and out of so many different cars, and just because of that fact, the fact that we had access to so many different types of cars, I don't really care about cars.
That's it.
I don't care about cars. Yeah. It's kind of like someone that's born into a wealthy family. They're like, well, I've never been without money, so why would I worry about it?
That's it. But this is I've asked a few mates this in the past and stuff like that. What do you think about this conflict, right?
Sure.
So if you're born into the world where your parents own a cigarette company,
okay,
right? And they're millionaires, and you don't have to worry about money. You got Lamborghinis, you got mansions, you got everything because, you know, your parents own Marlboro kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
But would your morals be right or wrong? Because your parents are technically selling poison to people, but you've got a very comfortable lifestyle that you don't have to worry about things.
Okay.
So then with that, it's like, I mean, the whole idea of, you know, entitlement and this and that and everything. But like, how do you think their mind would kind of work in a way?
I think it would come down to the fact that the money that was accumulated from their parents, from the wealthy cigarette company like Marlboro or whatever it might be, would help them in the initial phases to set up. I think from a child's perspective, wanting to do some social good to the world.
Potentially,
yeah, to kind of like have some sort of utilitarian like mission, like the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. Then it would be all about taking that capital and then trying to
like transform.
Just transform the negative connotations associated with the money accumulated into something positive.
Yeah.
So maybe they become philanthropists. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's what it's
how about like sponsoring Formula One?
That's it, right?
Look at Michael Schumacher's car.
Yeah, but isn't it just so nuts though? Because it's like there are, you know, there are so many people that live in this world, right? And there's like, you know, the population's absolutely insane. But then you have like things like Instagram, right? And when you scroll and you click on the search link, right, it's just the people that have the most influences. So then like you can almost paint a picture of what those places are like, you know, if they're from Russia or this or that, of what they could be like. But it's not actually how it is.
No.
Because it's only like the 5%, the 2.5% kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just like, since they get all the likes and all the followers and all that, they spread that, it's almost misinformation in a way.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy because it's like, it's just the way it is.
It's
like,
good and bad, to put it very simplistically, because when it comes down to it, you got to think to yourself, okay, is it a good or a bad thing to idealistically have something to look up to, like, so, you know, some sort of motivational porn, so to speak, to kind of like just get enthralled by, you know. So I think some people can kind of be motivated by success, and other people can be kind of like feel a bit neglected and left out of it.
That's it. And then
but it is a highlight reel. I do agree with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is a highlight reel. And then once again, it comes back to that whole dopamine hit kind of thing. Because they see other people like really enjoying themselves and having a great life. And then they want that and they try and strive for that. But they might not ever be able to get to that. But then it can be like an inspiration to be like, no, I want to do better. I want to do this. I want to, you know, go live in Bali and hang out and like just, you know, do drone footage or something like that. But at the same time, it's just like, it's almost unrealistic because, you know, in a way, when we're born into this world, we're given a deck of cards, you know, like we're given a hand of cards. And sometimes people are born with a bad hand kind of thing and they can't help it because it's just the circumstances of society. But then at the same time, it's like they can turn that around or they might not turn it around. And it's like the ever worrying part of it because they want to try and do something, but then You know, it's just people being people kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I think when it comes down to that, everyone needs to realize that, yes, we are all born and raised with kind of different circumstances. And when it comes down to it, when you're trying to like climb through some sort of like social hierarchies or ranks in the world, then there is a certain amount of luck that goes into it.
That's it as well, being in the right place at the right time.
Dude, think about Bill Gates. If he didn't know to buy an operating system off someone else, by the way, to sell to IBM, he probably wouldn't have bootstrapped Microsoft.
That's it, yeah.
That's exactly a crazy thought to have.
Yeah. But that's it. He was in the right place, the right time, and he thought, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And then look at him now. But then that's where the circumstances are. And that's where it's like, so like, I wanted to ask you, so what would your perspective on the meaning of life be? Because it's such a big, broad question.
I love that question, though.
But that's it, right?
I ask those types of questions.
Yeah, because you got to like really decipher and think of the back end of it. Because it's not 43 like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
No, man. I've thought about this a lot, dude. Because like for me, an obvious one is to, you know, acknowledge our biological drive. Reproduction is one of those things, I think.
Yeah.
But then again, I kind of talk my way out of that and think to myself, well, is it just about reproduction? Because even if it is, then is it egotistical to kind of think that you should carry on your genes? You know, is that an egotistical thing? I really don't know.
No.
So it's something I'm still deciding as a 27-year-old, kind of like understanding whether I want to be a dad or whatever. But I think for me, it really is like the meaning to me can be whatever you make of it.
Yeah.
Because like for me, like as a child, dude, growing up, I was like hardcore atheist. Then I spent some time in the Christian church, almost like having theological arguments with Christian people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I try not to place too much emphasis on meaning, and I try and listen to my mates who go on about purpose.
Yeah.
About what you're doing.
That's it.
So, but for me, I think the meaning is in of itself enough in terms of like the experience of life.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I find meaning in experiences. I find meaning in social relationships. I find meaning in striving to do something that's individually satisfying and then hopefully leave some sort of external motivation for someone. I guess. Yeah.
No, that's a great way of putting it. Because, like, say for me, it's very similar, but it's also just be happy. You know, just do things that bring you up. You know? If you do things that don't make you happy and you have to push through them and stuff like that, well, then find another avenue where you can be better off, kind of thing. Because it's been proven that, you know, stress can shorten your lifespan, kind of thing. It can cause cancer, it can cause this, it can cause that. And when you're upset and down in the dumps and you got money worries, you got this, or you got whatever the situation is, it becomes so detrimental to your lifestyle that it can actually reflect on others. But then if you're really like full of beans and you're a happy person, others see that and they want to be around that. And that's where it's almost like, you know, being an influencer almost, but not without the social media aspect kind of thing. Because it's actually like, you know, it's just giving off good vibes and making sure that everyone has a great time. Because if you don't, and you're selfish and you're this and that, then like you get wrapped up in your own mind almost.
You do, yeah.
And so it's just, you know, you have to take a step back and just analyze. I did this when I was younger, right?
Sure.
So like I moved to Perth and I moved out of home and I moved to on campus at university. And so when I moved on campus at Curtin University at next to Coles and stuff, right? I just thought to myself on the drive up, no one's going to know who I am. So when I go and stay on this campus with 200 other students that are international and this and that, well, I was bullied in high school, so I don't want people to be treated the way I was treated.
Sure.
I want to make sure everyone's included. And so with that, like, I didn't mean for it to happen, but I kind of became a bit popular. And when I say popular, all it was is that I just had a really good energy and I just wanted to make sure everyone had a great time. Invite them to parties, do this and do that. Make sure that no one was left behind. Because, you know, when someone has a party and then they find out they weren't invited, it can hit them hard.
For sure, yeah.
And it just depends on the person and stuff like that. But it's just like, you know, be happy and radiate that happiness kind of thing.
I did like a funny thing for my last birthday party. I literally just invited my entire friends list.
Really?
I don't know if there's anyone watching on my friends list right now listening to the podcast saying, damn it, Mason, I don't even know you. You invited me anyway. But I was just like, look, I'm going to host it at a bar. just gonna have a few drinks. So, like, it doesn't really matter that I invited like 1,000+ people to my party or whatever it might be. But yeah, there was like, I don't know, like 10 people showed up. It was great. And it was funny because like people that I didn't even expect to show up showed up. I think birthday parties are a really good like test of just who's there for you and who cares.
That's exactly it.
But so like when it comes to, I've always found this fascinating. So were you the type of person in school? This goes for, you can answer this question for primary or secondary school, whatever you want to go with it. Were you the type of person that kind of remained in good social bonds and social ties with a set group of people?
Nope.
Or were you kind of like an independent person?
So I'll be completely honest. In beginning of high school, because I left at year 10, basically it's quite funny because the firewall went down on the school computers, right? And then I decided to look up something called Black Up. And so Black Up was actually, it was a 4chan reference back in the day. Yep. Be careful when you look it up. But it was two Afro guys, right? And they were high-fiving. It's like, if you ever need backup, call for Black Up, right? And so when I looked that up, it actually came up with pornography, right? So when it came up with pornography, I ended up getting bullied severely for that in a way. Because people thought it was child pornography.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't though, right? And it got proven that it wasn't. But it's just like in school, when a small little thing like that happens, it snowballs. And everyone's like, pick on that kid kind of thing. So I got bullied severely, and I actually had I didn't really have many mates because a lot of the mates that I thought I had pushed me out almost.
Okay.
So then that's when I actually decided, my mum decided to pull him out of school. So when I got pulled out of school, then I actually went off and did TAFE, and I just ended up going to ECU and Bunbury and stuff like that. And then, like I said, I moved to Perth, and I had that mentality of like, well, I had a shit childhood. I had a great childhood at home, but when I go to school, I didn't want to be there. So when I actually went to university, I was like, I don't want anyone to be treated the way I was treated. And then, as I said, just completely like backflip and radiate that positive energy in a way, which it really worked. And honestly, that changed my life because then it made me more social, it made me more comfortable with who I am because I could just do whatever in a way. And that's where it is just like people that feel down in the dumps or, don't want to break out of their, their shell and stuff like that. Sometimes you have to. If you don't, I say this on the podcast all the time, but you have to throw yourself in the deep end. Because if you don't throw yourself in the deep end, the next time you it will just be intimidating, it'll be scary. But like say with DJing, if you go and stand in front of 1,000 people, right, and you make a few mistakes when you DJ, the next time you go and stand in front of 1,000 people, you'll be more comfortable because you've already done it. You've already experienced what it could be like.
Yeah, on a smaller level, just to kind of like relate. I find a similar thing when I go out like on the bars and clubs in Perth alone. I find it fascinating. It mystifies me all the time when people go, "What do you mean you're alone?" Because like, there's that initial stigma of people
I used to do the same thing as well.
"Oh yeah, he must be a loser because he's alone." No, I'm alone because I want to have the best night that I can have and like just be spontaneous as possible. Sometimes with mates, it's annoying because either they're kind of like, let's just drink and party, which is fun sometimes, don't get me wrong. But you might not be able to talk to chicks or you might be constantly changing venues and you're just like, I'm not spending more than 30 minutes at a freaking bar. I want to enjoy some music, some tunes and alcohol and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. Sometimes going out alone is great.
That's it.
I recommend it for like any guys listening. Maybe not so much for chicks.
Yeah.
Unless you got your wits about you.
That's it. Unless you like, you can actually like just push them away because like,
Well, I mean, make sure that you've got common sense.
Exactly. Yeah. But it is really fascinating with that as well because I've done that for so long and that's how I actually kind of started getting into the DJ industry. Yeah. Because I would actually just go to Capital by myself and go and meet up with friends there kind of thing. But those friends were the DJs. Yeah. So whilst they're DJing for 4 or 5 hours, I would be wandering around by myself making friends and socializing. And through that, it's life skills, it's social skills, it's the whole lot. But so many, like I said, so many people like, even in this diploma class, right, there's a girl in there who literally admitted to me today that she doesn't really go out to bars or pubs or anything. She goes to heaps of restaurants. Sure. But to go to a restaurant, you need someone with you. Like, you don't really need someone with you.
No,
but it's different to a bar.
That's a good point. Like a proper restaurant. I've been to a lot of fast food outlets.
Yeah,
alone,
exactly.
But like a proper restaurant, you probably do go out like on a special occasion with someone else.
Exactly, yeah. But like, I love going to restaurants as well. But I can't just go into an Italian restaurant by myself because then be like,
you could though.
You could.
You could live it up. You could live it up.
Yeah,
with some good spaghetti.
No, that's it. But then like, that's why I envy, say, like Emily, right? She's literally openly admitted that she'll just go and do it because if no one wants to do it, fuck it, she'll do it.
Yeah,
because you have to, like, it's a good thing. It's a good
people
trait.
are so like I want to say like where we live in this like super connected world, but at the same time I feel like everyone's a little bit disconnected with like the level of like genuineness of social connections, man. Just because, like, think of it this way, like when you were growing up, like when we didn't have access to social media and all that kind of stuff, I felt like my social ties were a lot stronger. Like you could spend a lot more time with a friend and get to know them on a deeper level than you can today.
Yep.
And then also, just because of that, people have so much abundance of choice of different things to do, which is good, obviously. There's good and positives to it. But at the same time, if you really wanted to go to a movie or something like that, that's something I do all the time. I go to a movie on my own if I want to.
But that's the thing as well, is when you go out by yourself, then you can meet people, you can socialize.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, you might get that occasional dickhead, like, he's out here by himself.
Yeah.
But if you go out by yourself, you're not restricted. You can just go and meet people and socialize and make your own fun kind of thing. Instead of having someone like peer pressure or influencing, where it's like, okay, well, they want to go here and I don't want to be by myself. All right, I'll go with you guys.
Yeah.
But having that mentality, it's like, okay, well, you guys go there. I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
And I'm staying here. Like,
it's funny though, because if you meet, I'll never forget this, dude. I thought that this little conversation that I had at Market Grounds was going to go somewhere. So I'm like, I'm on my own. I'm like, all right, I'm kind of bored because I was drinking. I'm like, oh, I better start a conversation because I'm bored out of my freaking mind. So I started a conversation with this guy that's smoking. I had this full-on conversation with him about what he was doing in the banking world, how he was like a programmer and all that kind of stuff for them, working on like the security elements of their business. And I had a full-on great conversation with him. And then my other mate comes along, right? And he's just like, oh, hey, Mason, yeah, I'm here now. Let's go bounce and go to another club. And then it was this awkward situation where I was trying to get his social media, this guy that worked in the banking sector.
Yeah.
And it almost came across like I was gay. I was like, so what's your social? It comes across like I'm gay sometimes. Unless you have a reason to hang out with a person, it's like, why? What do you want to?
That's happened to me as well in the past as well. But it's just like, I just find getting people's stories and talking to people is so interesting because sometimes, like, it's like one of the reasons why I started this as well, because people have amazing stories or backgrounds or adventures they've gone on, but when you actually go and try and like probe them for that information, they can think like, is he coming on to me? It's it's just like, no, I just think you're interesting. Like, I'm actually with that girl over there.
It's definitely not coming on to them because if anyone's been to the court or connections, they know that a really weird, sloppy version of a gay man hitting on a straight guy goes like this. Hey, man.
That's it.
What's up? They're like all nervous and they don't talk. You get aggressive versions, but that's you know what I mean, like a conversation that goes nowhere.
But that's it, and that's where it's just so fascinating because people can be people, right? And it's like, being a DJ, I've witnessed over time. I mentioned this before, where it's like you can actually kind of see how people fit into society almost. The bogans hang out with the bogans, and all the good-looking girls want the guys that are the bogans, and then like and then like the average Jane and the average Joe, they're kind of like they just hang out. But then it's like seeing how they all interact with each other and the way things that actually like unfold. It's
just out of curiosity, because I've never been a DJ, never been a disc jockey, so to speak, to use that old slang.
Disc jockey, yeah.
But
laptop player.
What's the pathway for that? Like for a career,
who you know.
Right? Is it 100% just who you know?
Who you know.
And then how you can kind of play at events and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's where it's baffling because, like, say, when I used to go to...
do you start producing... You have to produce your own music as a DJ.
I've never produced my own music.
Okay.
If you want to tour, or you want to go over east or around the world or whatever like that, you have to produce your own music.
Yeah.
It's the only way. But people do it just by DJing.
Yeah.
But it's about who you know.
Yeah.
And that's where it's so not misleading, but people think that like they can just go and like I was living in Coburn at the time, right? And I was living with a guy, and he actually he would go to the clubs with me all the time, right? And he was networking and socializing. He was actually coming with me and we were meeting, the same people, right? Then I moved out and he took actually he took like a year, I'm pretty sure, to go off and learn how to produce music. But he stopped going out. And so the thing that people don't realize is that you have to stay in people's faces. Yep. You have to stay relevant, kind of thing.
Right.
Because if you don't stay relevant or in those locations and meeting people and socializing and networking, you fall behind down the ladder because someone else will take your spot almost.
Yeah, okay.
And that's where like the DJ industry, not so much hospitality, but entertainment,
so
nightlife,
you need to
arts.
stay connected from an opportunistic level?
Exactly.
Right.
And it's just like you have to just be there. You have to be present. And like, you can take a month off or whatever, but you have to, if you want to do it, you have to be there. And so like for me, right, I just put the hard yards in. I went to Capital almost every single Saturday night for like 7 years. And I went there between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. every Saturday night because of the people I met, the socials, like just being able to experience what it's like kind of thing. But also, to be fair, I got, VIP and I was able to go to the green room and all the little perks and stuff like that. But if I didn't keep doing that, then I wasn't allowed to do that in a way. But it's because I was so like, as I said, radiating this positive energy and just wanted to be around people and stuff. They saw that and then I was actually able to just be a part of that kind of thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you ever feel, because I find this with some of my mates or people that I meet out, do you ever feel that some people can be over positive to the extent where it's like comes across a little bit fake?
That's what.
You ever met that person?
No,
hey man, I'm like, hey, what's up?
That's the thing with the DJ industry, and I'll be point blank.
Okay.
Because people talk about it and people don't talk about it. But excuse me, all these chips are coming up. There is actually such a high level of toxicity some in industries such as the music industry, right? But people don't talk about it, and they talk about positivity and how amazing it is and this and that. But at the end of the day, it's a jealousy thing because someone's playing a gig that you want and then you kind of envy them for that gig. But then you get wrapped up in your own mind because of social media and watching stories and seeing what they're posting on Facebook and this and that. And why are they getting so many likes and this and that? To the point where it becomes like they may not be vocalized, but some people do vocalize it. And then it depends on who you're friends with and your friend groups are and what you're doing kind of thing. Yeah. Because then if you go and say the wrong thing, right, then the word spreads because Perth is such a small little city. Yeah. And so being such a small little city in this, tiny state, well, it's a big state, but the population's ridiculous, right? The thing is that when the word spreads, you can burn those bridges before you've even started building bridges kind of thing. And so like a good example, I mean, I'll just say it because you probably won't watch this, but we had a guy on, and I'm not saying names, right? But it was nuts. I posted the photo on my on the Infra-Red podcast buddy thing, right? And I had 3 different DJs message me, why the fuck are you getting him on? He's an asshole. And I was like, I just met him at an event that he threw.
I'd love to know what people said, if anything. Well, probably not nothing about me because they don't know me in the scene.
But I was blown away. Guy. Yeah, but I was honestly blown away. I got audio recordings from the guy actually dissing people. Yeah. I got sent videos. I got sent pictures. And I was just kind of like, what the hell? So this guy's literally burnt all his bridges before he even started getting into the scene. So then after the podcast, I tried to reason with him, talk to him. He's like, dude, like, Perth is so small, you can't do that. Like, and the thing is, like, sometimes someone might say something or do something that you don't like, but suck it up because at the end of the day, it's like you can't be publicized about that because the minute it goes on social media, it spreads like wildfire, and it's not good because then your career is done in an instant kind of thing. And that's like when it can be down to like the whole cancel culture almost.
Sure, yeah.
But cancel culture is different. But at the same time, it's like if you work in, say, like a marketing firm, there's always going to be like, because drama isn't just in the DJ industry, it's in every industry, right? But this kind of drama, when you're always working with people and you get on their backs or they get on your back and stuff like that, if you sometimes vocalize it, you can be the one pinned out and then you'll disappear kind of thing. They'll just fire you because then obviously that other person brings more to the table or they don't want to deal with it and you vocalized it and then away, you just disappear out of the industry. And that's where it's like, it's hectic. It's just so hectic because it's just how it is in a way.
Yeah, it's ironic because like, for me, I always think about like, politics being like the version of the popularity contest for ugly people, that kind of thing. And then I never thought about it, but yeah, like in a way, it's like this kind of very socio-political thing to navigate yourself well through this kind of DJ world.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
It is, yeah.
It's really interesting, yeah.
And so it is like, you know, a good example is like to put it into politics kind of thing.
Sure.
Can you pull up Troy Buswell? So
Troy Buswell.
Troy Buswell. He, you know, he got kicked out because he got filmed sniffing girls' chairs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got kicked out for that. But it's like, if that's going on, what else is going on? Kind of thing. But not so much like, you know, being like this sexual predator kind of thing, doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, for them to have these parties.
Yeah.
I grew up with his kids, actually.
Okay.
But it's just like, he was always a party boy, this guy.
Yeah.
And so being a party boy, then he got into
What's
Parliament.
the allure of sniffing chairs? I don't see
It was
how
just
that
a party.
could be a
He got
thing.
drunk and a girl stood up and walked off, and then he sniffed her chair, apparently.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Really?
He got cancelled.
Right.
Which, I mean, to be fair, that is like, if you're doing that around everybody, you shouldn't do it in general.
Sure, yeah, it's inappropriate behaviour.
Exactly,
I get that. But at the same time, I kind of think to myself, yeah, I love the Quentin Tarantino approach to cancel culture, which is, yes, cancel culture exists, but at the same time, when everyone says they'll cancel you, who's they?
That's it.
It's a good point. I mean, it is a bit of a paranoid thought to kind of like go online or do a podcast or do whatever you're doing and kind of believe that there's going to be someone somewhere along the line that's going to be out to get you.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult these days because if you're actually attempting to be honest or you're actually saying something that's meaningful or something that's not watered down and very politically correct, you're going to get in trouble occasionally. Just are.
That's it. And that's where it's so crazy as well, because it's like, you know, say, for example, Chris Rock, he said he wanted to run for president, right?
Okay.
When Kanye West admitted that he wanted to do it, and then Chris Rock admitted that he wanted to do it, and then also The Rock wanted to run for president as well, right? Dwayne Johnson.
Rocks.
Yeah, that's it, right? But then someone actually pulled up something from like 11 years ago, 12 years ago or something, and he said something that was racist on Twitter, so that he couldn't
Kevin
do
Hart
it.
or Chris Rock? Was it?
Oh, it might have, no, Kevin Hart. Yeah, sorry.
Hart,
yeah, I've been saying
when
Chris
you
Rock.
mentioned the tweets, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Kevin Hart. But it's like from 11 years ago, 12 years ago. But shouldn't there be a chance for them to reprimand themselves?
Well, there should be a timeline, dude.
Exactly.
If you think about it, like, okay.
Because people learn from their mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, it really comes down to like
But,
this amalgamation of just like
just quickly as well, though.
conversation.
I'm not advocating sniffing chairs, though.
Yeah, bro.
Don't do
sure,
it. Don't do anything.
Don't do it.
Like that.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
but
go
yeah, I
on,
mean, like on a timeline, you just have to look at like what was appropriate. Like from the creation of The Office, dude. One of like the most popular sitcoms of all time, man. So you UK, US, probably US is more popular.
Yeah.
But let's just take that as an example. This was like dry, witty, on the cuff, very like in your face kind of humor. And if you put that on a timeline, it makes sense for the product of the time.
That's it.
But also, I think it's annoying, this wave of political correctness and how it's kind of engulfed Hollywood. Because one, we're not getting any kind of original kind of stories, and we're relying heavily on just like superhero movies.
That's it.
But I'm done to death with this kind of stuff because I get it from a commercial level because it's like, yeah, that's the only thing that's going to attract an international audience. We can market it. It's not much dialogue. There's a lot of action. CGI is great. Yeah, cool. It's appealing to the eye to a certain extent. But bro, I love thrillers.
Yep.
I love
Horrors,
something that's thought-provoking.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
But that's where, unfortunately, Disney and all these other major companies, Universal and Paramount, they can just keep kicking the dead horse. They keep kicking the cow kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they keep milking it. Even though the cow is basically dead, they can still get money out of it. Like the Star Wars films.
Yeah.
Like the latest Star Wars films are horrible kind of thing. But some people like them. I think they're garbage. I think the original, two trilogies were great.
So, yeah.
But it's just crazy though, because it's like, you have kids born in 2000 now.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, it's so hectic to think that a kid born in 2000 is going to be turning 22 next year. When like, we're 27, right? And like, well, 27, 28. The thing is like, we grew up in a different time almost, but now kids are born with phones in their hand, and they're born with this whole idea of just like, you know, they haven't seen the original Toy Story in cinemas.
Yeah.
So they're going to make a new Toy Story kind of thing. And if they do that, then all these kids that, you know, they might have grown up with the original, you know, their parents might have shown them Snow White and the White Dwarf and Seven Dwarves and this and that. But when they make these real versions of them that are nowhere near similar to the old school 1960s animation or whatever, like that, it's kind of like they can spin it off in their own direction. And that's where it is the censorship. It's the political correctness.
And I also think, this is just a thought that's occurring to me now. I'll throw it over to you. I don't know if you agree with this.
No,
but
go on,
it could be the advent of the fact that people are reading less.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You could say that not being an adept reader would like put some sort of inability in a person's capacity to write a real thumping Hollywood script.
That's it.
Yeah.
But it's also at the same time, it has to check those boxes.
Yeah.
And that's where it's so ridiculous almost, because it's like...
What are the boxes in your mind though? This is an interesting one. Like, it's like,
I don't want to say.
Oh, right.
No, I can say, but there's like, you know...
What are the obvious ones that aren't?
It has to be marketable.
Has to be marketable. Right,
But
it has to be marketable.
But
doesn't mean good.
to be able to be marketable, it has to be able to...
Has to pass screen testing, so can't be offensive.
Yep.
What else?
But that's what's so crazy though as well, because like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you could have offensive films. You know, you have like Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, and it's like there's so much racism in that, but it's not direct like this is bad. It's a play on pop culture and like societal norms kind of thing. But now it's like you can't do that anymore at all. You know, it's like, you know, it's the common thing as well where like, you know, it has to be able to make everybody happy. And so when you have these extremist groups, right, because I can't, like, I don't want to go too far into that, right, because, you know, cancel culture and the whole thing. But when you have these extremist groups, you have to keep them happy. And to be able to keep them happy, it has to fit what they think is right. But then even though, you know, what they
think... so annoying because,
it is,
like,
right?
Morally, I've got no idea where the compass is for them.
Exactly,
No idea.
But they don't even know where the compass is.
No.
And like these extremist groups, it's just like it's almost like they want to be noticed in a way. That's why they go on social media, and that's why they, you know, like, have you ever gone on like say meme pages or anything and read through the comments, or like, you know, you go on Channel 7's bloody Facebook page and you read through the comments and see how many just idiots there are? And it's like, you know, I don't comment on things. Like, if someone tags me or anything, I might message them, right?
Sure, yeah.
But I hate the idea how everything has gone to just being able to type things in a way.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like when you're in person like this, you can see how I'm expressing myself, my feelings, my emotion, my tone of voice, everything, right? The way I'm putting my words together. But if you try and message someone something, it can be interpreted 12 different ways, 15 different ways. And so that's when like people write something and then someone calls them out for it, and then it's bullying, but it's not really bullying, but it's just like that their message was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you can't do that.
I mean, I commonly have that, what you were just talking about, the whole, the messaging and like being no subtle kind of nuances in what anyone's saying over texting. When girls text me, I'm horrible.
Yeah, that's
I don't like texting. Because in my mind, the phone is a device for me to hang out with you, baby. I don't want to spend time texting and writing you poems. I'm not your emotional tampon. I'm just not.
That's it. I just send
very
memes.
polarizing guy sometimes.
I usually just send memes and say, like, all right, I'll see you Friday night or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And like sometimes I just want it, like, you know, if I know that they're somewhere, I'll just go and, like, you know, if they're working or something, I'll just go and socialize them, because when you rock up and it's surprising in a way, it's better than being like, okay, I'll see you 7:30 on Friday night. But if you just rock up and they kind of, they're like, is he going to rock up? Is he going to be there? This and that. They might not think it, because you can never know what the other person's going to be thinking, right? But if you just kind of like if you just sporadically rock up and then you're full of beans and this and that, then it gives off a good impression of who you really are. Yeah, get some water in.
Yeah.
But that's where like, one of the reasons why I actually started doing this, right, is because I got told the word around town when I was working at Lucy's Love Shack, when I opened that place and did the first 8 weeks, Friday and Saturday nights. I got told that people either love me or hate me. And I was kind of like, why do people hate me? And then like trying to like put the pieces together. And then I thought of a few reasons where I was tired after work and I wanted to be left alone and I didn't want to be social, right? But then I did this because then people can see people for who they really are.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's a live stream. It's not scripted.
Yeah,
it's
in a
not
long
edited.
format, you can't really hide it all.
Exactly. And it's just like being a nice social person. At least I'd like to think I'm a nice social person, right? Then it's like you can actually get a perspective of who they actually are. So then you can't just paint a picture in your head and go, nah, they're an asshole kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to do, you know, I just try and do the right thing by people.
Well, I think what you're saying is 100% accurate because at the end of the day, I tried to understand initially why I was watching podcasts.
Yeah.
Tried to understand, okay, what my motivations were for watching a podcast because it just became so abundantly clear the genuine connection, the conversation between two individuals conversing, exchanging ideas, the free flow of information. That's something that's lost.
That's it.
Because you can talk, I mean, you could argue that you get more out of messaging 5 people on your phone than you could from sitting down with another person. But I would argue the complete opposite.
I'm 100% on the same page.
Yeah.
Because that's it. Like, you know, the amount of times, like, I'll openly admit this, right? The amount of times I've had chances with girls, right? And then I've just messaged too much or said the wrong thing. And I just don't think anything of it.
I just go for the call, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. And that's what a good mate of mine said as well. Send voice messages. Because if you send a voice message, then you can hear how they're sounding. Instead of being like, okay, good night. Or I don't know, something like, you know, just if you write something up, you can be interpreted in so many different ways. And then they might lose interest in you. And then that's what's always happened with me. Because like, you know, I'll be honest, I've only ever had one girlfriend. And, and I blame most of that because of social media. Because like they're messaging me and they want me to do this or they want me to do that. But I'm just like, I don't know how to respond to this. You just sit there like processing like, okay, I'll send that. Fuck, why did I send that? I shouldn't have sent that. Like, but then you get into the overthinking pattern as well, right?
When it comes down to romance, I mean, I think the only thing that holds true is people want what they can't have.
Yeah. And that's what's so unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
Like 30 years ago, 20 years ago, it wasn't like that.
Anyone will like find themselves on the receiving end of either being the party that's over invested in the person they're seeing or less invested.
Yeah.
And it creates this weird power dynamic where one person has to either convince or kind of persuade the other person into long-term monogamy or whatever the other person's kind of into.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting for me because I've had more casual kind of success with women than I ever had with like long-term monogamy, which I'm not actually proud of. I hasten to add, just because I found it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like every human being on the planet, you know, I love sex. Like anyone else.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah. But at the same time, it was kind of annoying. Like, because there was a stage in my life, maybe like a couple years ago, where I was seeing a couple girls, and I had to openly say, "Look, I'm not the monogamous dude. I'm not gonna be your boyfriend." And it was really annoying because I was seeing these 2 girls simultaneously, not together, not at the same time, like not in the same room.
Yeah,
I mean,
doing the right thing.
I mean, in the same period of time. And
you just got to cover your ass.
And I could just see them. I could see them slowly but surely becoming emotionally attached to me.
Yeah.
And I felt like shit, dude. I felt like real bad. But to my credit, I kept the friendship, so to speak, going between these girls that I was, you know, sleeping with. So it wasn't that bad. But I don't know, the kind of like Dan Bilzerian, Hugh Hefner dream of sleeping with a lot of women can be somewhat unfulfilling to an extent. Well, don't get me wrong, I don't know the levels of those guys.
He's actually said that on a podcast.
Yeah.
He's literally said that, you know, like the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks is great, but after that it's just kind of a bit of a hassle.
Yeah.
And then girls like just, I mean, obviously because he was an Instagram influencer and stuff like that, girls would just throw themselves at him because of who he is and stuff. But he was getting sick of it. But he built that lifestyle for himself in a way.
I saw it interesting as like there was the Full Send podcast that he was on.
Okay.
It was a recent one that Dan was on.
I don't think I've seen that.
And they asked him a question about the fraud accusations.
Yeah.
There's a lot of YouTubers that come out and said that.
Apparently he's completely fake, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people said that, but he didn't answer the question the way that I would have liked it. Because there's so many suspect things about his rise to fame that could clearly be expressed in a podcast, but aren't clearly expressed in a podcast.
Yeah.
Because as soon as a podcaster has Dan Bilzerian, in the room with them, all they want to talk about is the women, the part.
Yeah,
all they
the
want to talk about.
guns and the cars.
They don't want to dive
mansions
into any kind of confronting kind of question. I don't know if that's some sort of like.
You might find that before they go live, he actually discloses like.
Or maybe he pays them. I don't know. Yeah,
that's exactly it. Yeah, and that's it. Could just be publicity stuff.
It's a huge portion of his money has to be hands down that trust fund.
Yeah.
Like his father was a very successful dude.
Here's a good question for you, but I don't want to dive too into it because it can be so controversial, right?
Yeah, go on.
But for example, right, do you think the Kardashians are good role models?
Do I think the Kardashians are good role models?
No, right? But then so many people and so many girls and guys and everybody do think...
After the fact, yes.
After the fact?
So after their absurd fame.
After their absurd
fame.
Yeah,
so, well, okay. I mean, if you think about it, like the way that they've leveraged the fame.
Okay.
I think that's a good role model for a certain very small section of society.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think the answer is very black and white.
Yeah.
I think it's because like if you look at like Kylie, I think is the one that like became like really like on the Forbes list and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a good role model.
Yeah.
Like being wealthy. Yes, they've leveraged their fame or whatever. So that's good. But yeah, no, the way in which they orchestrated their rise to success and the amount of drama that's on that show.
Yeah.
No, not a positive influence.
Exactly.
And I think it also has affected beauty standards in a way. It's almost homogenized it, bro. It's all the same.
Yeah, that's it.
It's really weird when it comes to women and beauty because of the Kardashians.
I know.
Really weird.
And that's where, like as I said, it can be so controversial. But it's so crazy that it's like, one girl with 30 million followers can take a photo or however many followers they are. It's like, okay, I'm wearing a red dress. And then it's just that literally spins off. And then it's just like, it just goes into society kind of thing. Because it's like, say like festivals as well. Guys wear specific clothing, girls wear specific clothing, but it's like the new fashion trends. And with these fashion trends, it's like, I prefer to stand outside of these fashion trends. Like, because you're just spending so much money. It's the same thing like Halloween costumes or coming up to Christmas or something like that. You don't have to buy Christmas clothing or Halloween clothing, like costumes or whatever. Just like go and have fun. But it's like pressure and it's like the norms kind of thing where it's like, okay, well, all my friends are doing it. I might as well do it as well.
Yeah.
And have you ever seen that that study where there was like, can you just see if you can find it, Damo, where it was like, as I said, it can be controversial and I don't want it to be too full on, but the whole idea where there's like someone that actually goes into this like pharmacy waiting room and it's like every 5 minutes on the dot, sound would go off and he'd just stand up. He'd stand up for 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like everyone starts doing it eventually. Yeah. And it's because and that's it.
So same thing happens with like drinking.
Yeah.
Weird thing.
Well,
Try and notice it.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so anyone that's like out on a night out, next time that they notice them, they're with their mates over a table drinking alcohol, whatever it might be, just be aware socially of when you're drinking. Because you might find that your mate over the table from you takes a drink from his glass and you do it at the exact same time.
Yeah, that's it,
It's almost like perfect synchronicity.
That's it.
Crazy shit.
Similar thing in classrooms. It's like if you play with your hair, you go like that.
Yeah.
Just look around and see if anyone else does it.
Yeah.
Like it's just the subliminal things where it's like, it's almost like twitches in a way. And like people just don't think about it. They just do it kind of thing. But it's not a bad thing because we're all human. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it's so interesting just to see what makes people tick and what makes them actually do their things in a way. Right? I kind of wanted to jump back to the whole idea of like, the reproduction thing that we were mentioning.
Sure, yeah, it was meaning of life, yeah.
Yeah, meaning of life and stuff. Because at the end of the day as well, right? Like, I would love to be a dad.
Sure.
Right? And it's like, it sounds like a great thing. But to raise a kid in today's society, where society in Western culture is all right, but you look at places where it's like third worlds or, like things have just gotten horrible after COVID and stuff like that for them. Like, I've been to South Africa and it's a beautiful country, right?
It's a beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful, right?
Beautiful.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's an amazing country. But when you see the crime and the poverty and how run down it is in some parts, stuff like that, it makes you really think. It's like, if you had a kid today, right, in 20 years, in 2040, would the world be any better or would it be worse?
Yeah. I think it shouldn't be as significant as people think of it. Like, okay, so I really kind of ponder myself with the whole kids question. what's the percentage? And I'm sure someone can answer this on Facebook on the stream or whatever, of like the percentage of people globally that would have to be replacing the children population in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the amount of people that were having kids, because people go on and on about, oh yeah, the world's going to become overpopulated. It
already is though. That's
yeah. People argue that a lot, and I think to myself, well, what's the percentage level of people that I don't know should even consider raising kids? Because I think there's a lot of people that need to understand that when it comes to kids, a lot of them maybe weren't intentional.
That's exactly.
I mean, it's a real horrible thing to say, but yeah,
it happens. Like
they might have loved each other, but
Damo,
it might have been an accident.
Look up the movie Idiocracy, any chance? Yeah, but look up just the intro.
You don't mind if I go a quick pit stop?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, we'll play it when he gets back. But can we try and pull up the little video at the beginning, if that's all right? Just the whole idea where it's like, because it's not the truth, right? But it's at the same time, it really points out a very interesting thing where, people have happy accidents sometimes and then get pregnant and stuff, which is not a bad thing because happy accidents are happy accidents. But like the way Idiocracy kind of points it, where it's like, apparently the smart people get weeded out almost because, yeah, here we go. Yeah. The opening scene. It's so interesting watching this because it's like, wait. Yeah. Spot on.
Boy.
But this is all satire though at the same time.
Yeah.
And this is like 2006
Is this
or
on the
something.
stream?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Whoop.
He likes over here.
Oh, wasn't it on?
Oh. You told me or?
Yeah,
We finally decided to have children, and
Oh.
I'm not pointing fingers, but it's not going well.
And this is helping.
I'm just saying that before I have in vitro, maybe you should be willing to.
It's always me, right?
Well, it's not my sperm count.
Yeah! I'm gonna fuck all y'all!
That's my boy.
Cleavon is lucky to be alive. He attempted to jump a jet ski from a lake into a swimming pool and impaled his crotch on an iron gate. But thanks to recent advances in stem cell research and the fine work of Doctors Krinsky and Altschuler, Cleavon should regain full reproductive function.
Get your hands off my junk!
Unfortunately, Trevor passed away from a heart attack while masturbating to produce sperm for artificial insemination. But I have some eggs frozen, so just as soon as the right guy comes along,
And so it went for generations, although few, if any, seemed to notice.
That's it. That's all we have to watch. But that's where it's like that's satire. That's not
Sure.
Like,
yeah, I mean, look. I must admit that when it comes to the movie Idiocracy, it's pretty true till you kind of exit adolescence and you kind of become a working member of society.
That's it, right?
Do you know what I mean? Because then, like, popularity reigns supreme. And, like, you don't have to be smart to be popular. You could be a moron and being popular, and you could just reproduce, and I don't know, that would work.
And the ball just keeps rolling.
Yeah.
But I do think the whole idea of like, you know, the smart people, the intelligent people kind of like weaning out and fading away.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know what the future holds, but I don't think that's a legit thing, because you have things like Facebook and all these, you know, these companies that basically are employing people on their level of intelligence kind of thing, you know? Like, even like with Lego, you can't work for Lego unless you actually have some sort of engineering capability kind of thing. You know, you can't just be a Lego builder, but you can, but you have to understand the engineering behind it. Right?
Manufacturing, yeah.
Exactly, yeah, because manufacturing.
Yeah.
So that's where it is, where it's like, it's such an interesting little video, because it's like, we don't know where we're heading. And I hope to God it's not like Idiocracy.
Yeah, but I think when it comes to like, commonly when people kind of think about overpopulation with the world and things like that, I mean, all it will take will be like a pandemic, like a war. There'll be something that kind of balances things out.
Yeah,
I really do believe that. Even if it gets to the point where it's hugely overpopulated, then like, it's tough to say it, but I think that it would only be noticeable overpopulation in a first world kind of like situation. Otherwise, it's probably swept under the rug a little bit.
That's exactly it, yeah. And that's where it is so unfortunate in a way, because you look at places like what's the population of India, for example? But the thing is, like, the population of India is it's swept under the rug. People don't really realize. But then it's like, when you actually... Yeah, look at that, 1.38 billion. Look how big India is compared to China.
Yeah.
Like, India's tiny compared to China. Like, it really is. Like, what's the... And then look at... What actually is the density? But that's where it's just like, once again, you only see the 3%, the 1% of the people on social media where they're like all popular and this and that. But you don't see the levels of poverty and everything else that's going behind the scenes that are swept underneath the rug. Like, I've been to China 3 times and been to Hong Kong 3 times.
Been to China twice.
Oh, yeah.
Love China.
It's so crazy, right? Because when you go there, you kind of just get just like an eye-opening experience to see so many people just doing their thing, doing like their everyday lifestyle and this and that, and it's all like, you know, it's all...
Did you squat? Did you squat in the toilets?
Yeah.
Far out. That's one thing. Anyone that goes to China, I just want to say, look, there are disabled toilets. Yeah. I'm not saying that you can use them, but yeah, use them. Use them.
That's it. But one thing I just found so baffling though is that once, like I said, it's like you have so many people that live there, and even though it's a bit of a communist country, right? It's kind of like seeing them just do their everyday thing, and how they're going to work, they're coming home from work, they're raising kids, they're doing this, they're going out, they're doing that, and it's just like that happens here as well. But you can go out at 2 a.m. at night, like I can leave my house now, and it's like almost 9 o'clock kind of thing. There's like no one around. But then you open the window at like in China, or you like look at your hotel room, and there's still like 10,000 people doing stuff.
People everywhere. I think that's one thing that annoys me with Perth being a small town. Like, I understand because it's a small town that everything kind of shuts at 9 on a weekday. Yeah. But I would love it for there to be like more stuff to do during the evening.
That's exactly
That'd be great.
But at the same time, it's like, I would love it if there's more stuff to do. But then for me, I would feel like it's just a bit too much almost. But that's also because I grew up in the country where there was nothing to do after 6 p.m.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, kind of thing. But then when you actually go to places like this, it's eye-opening. And like, I really think that if you're going to try and like, in my honest opinion, when you're going through, you know, adulthood and you're developing stuff like, you should go to different countries and actually experience what it's like. You know, that's where, you know, people go off and do Kentucky tours in Europe and stuff like that. Because you see all these different people in different countries and different cultures and everything. And everyone's just working together.
I think a perfect example of this is when I went to Langkawi, which is an island off the coast of Malaysia.
Okay.
And Langkawi was brilliant because, like, I went there twice. It was to see my grandparents, right? But whilst I was there the second time, I was a little bit more independent. I was able to go out on my own, all that kind of stuff. And I literally made friends, and it was crazy. I made friends with like the locals there. So like literally just a local group of like guys that were kind of like my age. Literally like before I know it, I was on their moped, going out to the freaking clubs, eating food. And it was hilarious because like I could barely speak any Malaysian.
That's it. But
then I was like, whoa.
But that's exactly
it. But still got along with them, yeah.
you got along with them, you radiated good energy, and then they kind of like, they were like, yeah, this guy's cool, let's hang out with him. But you're like, I don't know what you're saying, but yeah, let's beer.
Yeah. It was funny, yeah.
But that's just like,
I think they could understand what I
society.
was saying.
Yeah.
Because of like the, so many movies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
Western
but
material.
they couldn't respond, yeah.
But that's where it's just like, it's just nuts the way the world is. And like so many people, like, I know so many people that have never left Perth, like left WA kind of thing, or they've never left Australia. But like when you never leave somewhere like WA, then what you see is what the media presents to you in a way, or what you look up, how much research you do into it. That's why I love doing this Thursday night podcast with you guys, Damo, because when we go and do that, right, even though we're just recording and stuff like that, when we talk about the world and you like Google places and you like look into things, and it's like, you know, the other day when we were looking at Iraq or whatever it was, or Iran or Afghanistan or whatever, but you go on like the Google little man, so you can actually drop the man and actually see places, and it's like there's like 5 locations in Afghanistan.
Oh, really?
Because
It
it's
was
like
interesting.
see if you can pull it up. It's so funny.
Okay.
And then we found this place, right? It was like in a park, right? And it's like this guy's obviously done a 360 camera, right? But there's like 3 entrances to this park, and there's a dude standing at each entrance.
Yeah,
So, like,
they're looking at the Google Maps guy.
Yeah.
They're wondering what he's up to. It's very interesting.
yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
actually like seeing that and researching into that. You know, like I always say to people that, you know, if you're going to buy a new phone or buy a new car or something, research into it. Don't just buy something because your friend's got it, kind of thing. Think about it and go, do I need that phone or do I need this phone? Or like, because, you know, when you go and do your researching, right? Like what?
Yeah, sure.
What pushes you into thinking outside of the box in a way?
Yeah, okay, so with the research work that I do currently, I presently do some work for a YouTube channel called Cold Fusion. And I primarily get given a topic. And it's funny that you should ask that. Like, independent research is a little bit different from what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
In that my paid for research work is you've given a topic, whether it be IBM, John McAfee, you do as much internet research and sleuthing as you can. You get an idea of where your boss, the content creator, wants to go with the general direction of the video, and then you write a YouTube script. So that's kind of a little bit more structured. But when it comes to open research, I always recommend using different search engines.
Yeah.
Just because that's always great. Like, use DuckDuckGo. You can use a lot of different search engines just to provide yourself with different search results. Yeah.
See,
Like
I've
Start
never-
page.
I've
This
only-
technically uses Google one, but it's really good.
I've
Yeah.
only ever really used Bing or Google, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
it's just because different search engines kind of promise more equal and balanced search results.
Yeah.
It's not always the case, but there's Ecosia too, where I think they like
Yeah.
plant trees and stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool actually.
Ecosia?
Yeah,
Can we, what's that? So,
Ecosia, yeah.
but that-
Ecosia is like a search engine where they actually plant trees for every search result you do.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Apparently, there's been 135 million trees planted.
That's pretty cool.
A lot.
But that's where it's also
Moving
things
back
like,
was like 9 million. And I thought, damn, that's a lot. That's a lot.
but it's like, you know, even using VPNs and stuff, because once again, it's like, you know, tailored media, tailored articles, tailored results, everything. And people just like, they're complacent and they are. Like,
I would love to get you, because you're a similar age to me. Sorry to go off topic a
No,
little
that's
bit.
fine. Yeah.
But how long before movie theaters die out? Will movie theaters die out? Do you reckon? Or
I think private. I think
privately owned.
Like as in
Like Luna's.
cinema parodies. Yeah, and cinema
Yeah.
parodies. I don't think they're going anywhere.
Yeah, that's it.
They
yeah.
also do film festivals, and they do a lot of screenings for local
That's it.
and student film projects, and that's sort of their bread and butter.
okay,
and
so not going anywhere.
Yeah.
anytime soon.
I
But
think
when it
however,
comes to-
mainstream ones,
Yeah.
I doubt it. I doubt they're going anywhere. I doubt they'll be around much longer.
Yeah.
Even
that's
when
it.
like opening nights, you go there, the ghost towns, man. It's
Well,
insane.
perfect example, right, is look at what happened with Black Widow being released. Can you look up the whole
Yeah,
thing with Disney and that?
yeah, it's
Where
crazy.
like Disney released Black Widow on Disney Plus, right?
Okay.
But you had to pay $30 to watch it or something like that. And they released it at the same time as putting it in the cinemas.
All right.
So
yeah.
you didn't actually have to
Yeah,
go
there's
to
a
the
lot
cinema.
of that happening. Hey, they'll put it on stream and on demand like really quickly.
Try and
and it's really interesting.
Oh, yeah, you found it. Yep.
And it's really interesting that they messed with her contract, Scarlett Johansson, because her commission work was based entirely on theater tickets. So
really?
Yeah. So when they streamed it, that cut into her income almost immediately.
And then she got a payout of something like 22 million or something like that.
Yeah, something insane.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, but then that's the thing, is because Disney want to make sure that they make money.
Yeah.
So they do things like this.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. Well, it makes complete sense, but like
on Disney Plus.
That?
It's available to purchase on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay,
But that was not covered under hers, and so she took in the court over it.
I have seen sort of, not really, kind of a dabble at an attempt by the theaters to kind of regain some sort of position. Is they are kind of regurgitating older movies.
Yeah.
You can watch older movies at movie theaters now. I do like the idea of like drive-in theaters. I think they should always be a thing.
Yeah, but there's only one in WA now.
Yeah. But
the other one used to be in Busselton, and I remember when I was a kid going there as a family, and it was the coolest thing ever. You know, you take a ute, you go and catch up, like you just go and hang out in the back of the ute, put the speaker in, and it's so old school, and you're just like laying there, and you could do it like, it could be romantic, it could be just like a family outing, but it had that experience behind it instead of just going to the movies.
Yeah, well, it's crazy now that you're just streaming everything. It's like Netflix, it's Stan. I mean, you get so much more value, I guess. Yeah. Right? You get so much bang for your buck. And I almost sound like a spokesperson for Netflix right now.
Oh, yeah.
But you get so many more movies, but it does take away from the overall experience of going to the theater. I just wish like the freaking the drinks and the popcorn wasn't that expensive. It is pretty expensive to go to the movies. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie at all.
But that's how they make their money as well.
From
the candy bar alongside the
But
movie.
I think it's like half the price of a movie ticket will get you like a month subscription, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. But then that's where it's also just bonkers though, because it's like, can you try and find The Last Jedi, I think it was? And it's like, Disney had this contract where it's like, okay, you can show it in cinemas, but we want 60 or 70% of all ticket sales or something ridiculous.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was something ridiculous like that. But then how are they supposed to survive?
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, everyone's waiting for the new Star Wars. Everyone's going to go watch it, even though the new Star Wars trilogy's shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, Disney has this thing. You can show it in your cinema, but we want this.
Yeah.
And it's just...
It's annoying to think about because I can't really come with a clear answer in my mind whether they will or won't die out.
Yeah.
Because it's like an argument of communication is a form of technology, right? So you think to yourself, okay, I'm pretty sure what the postal service is like, what's Australia Post is.
Yeah, Ozpost, yeah.
Ozpost, yeah. You think about that, that's like letters, people like still send letters. That's an example of an older form of technology, so to speak. I'm putting air quotes there for people that are just listening. In comparison to where it's gone to now in terms of different forms of communication. So maybe it won't die out, especially, but there are certainly different upgrades of the theater chairs.
It would just
more
become a
reclining
niche
stuff. Yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
That's it. It just become a niche market.
Yeah.
But that's where it's like what Damo said, where it's like you have these things like student films and like, you know, you go to Luna Cinemas and they showcase the original Alien series kind of thing. And like they'll actually have people dressed up in costumes to make it more of a fun experience kind of thing. And that's what things like that will stick around because then the nostalgia, even though they might have not have been born when it came out, but they can still go to the cinema on a really good sound system and experience it for what it was back then, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you believe that? What's your opinion of like CGI?
CGI.
Yeah.
It's done to death. Like
I
love 80s films.
I prefer like big constructed sets.
That's it.
That are like there's been effort put into it because it just appears better on screen.
That's exactly. I love watching 70s, 80s, 90s films. Honestly, because it's just when CGI might be coming in. It's more real.
Compare like the first Matrix movie to like the trailer of the new one. I'm just like, dude, like the pods where Neo like comes out of the freaking Matrix and is unplugged and all like the goo and the jelly. It just looked a lot better in the first one than it was in this real CGI kind of thing. I get it because like as a filmmaker you're saving. Well, I don't know if are you saving money? Probably saving money by
it makes it a lot easier. Makes it a lot easier creating sets and whatnot instead of having to actually build sets and the transport logistics. possibly combating nature and the environment. You just have it in one location for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And everything can be set up there. And that's insane amount of money saved on travel. It's all the logistics, man. Everything's logistics.
But that's also where it would have been so cool back in the day.
Like a transport company.
Yeah, but like back in the day when it's like they actually have set locations, you fly around the world, and it's just like it made it just sound so appealing being an actor. But then like now it's like, can you look up
I was about to say there's that
I was gonna say Justice League Flash CGI. It's so funny. There's this video where he's just like doing that with his arms.
Really?
It's just a green screen. But when they actually put the effects on, it's like there's a tornado. He's in the city, and it looks really cool.
Yeah.
But it's just like he's literally just going like that, and this looks so stupid. Like, yeah, it's just. Yeah, there's literally a part, and it just looks so funny. But see, like, look at that though. Like, so that's what that's what sets art in today's day and age.
Yeah.
They're not even in a city.
Yeah.
And then like his whole body and muscle movement and stuff is just CGI'd.
Yeah. I mean, theatrically, it must be really demotivating.
Yeah, that's
really
exactly it. Yeah, being an actor is just that now.
I feel like it'd be hard because you're acting, essentially trying to act as though you're in this location. Like, I'm looking at a fucking computer screen right now.
You'd have to be very imaginative in the zone. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, it's weird.
That's exactly it, and that's where like in this diploma of yes, it in this diploma of emergency healthcare that I'm doing, we actually showcased a video today. I think it was today or yesterday, but it was like it was from the 90s, and it's like a bone injection gun, right? And so since it was like from the 90s or early 2000s, they just didn't have a good budget. So it's like this guy who's dressed up in army equipment and stuff like that, and he's like, you know, pulls this thing across and like pretends to type things and stuff. But it's so old school CGI that it just looks like it's just a bit of a joke kind of thing. It just didn't like actually age well in a way. So trying to take something like that legit, you're sitting there like, I can see the pixels.
Yeah.
But I 100% agree with what you're saying, because like when it's like, say, Apocalypse Now.
No, I was gonna say there's a great example, Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock. Like that set.
Oh yeah, I
was
remember.
Constructed. Yeah, that entire set was constructed in a.
Yeah, see if you can find the bird's eye view for it. I remember that. We were talking about that in TAFE ages
Maybe it
ago.
comes down to the fact that just movies aren't making as much money as they used to.
That's it, yeah.
I think so.
That could also be it, yeah.
Used to have a lot bigger budget with things.
But that's, as you said though, it makes it feel more real though. It makes it feel more realistic.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's like what I said even with Apocalypse Now. It's like when you watch that film, they're actually in the jungle kind of thing. And they're filming it in the jungle. So it's not, it's 100% there. And that's when it's like the actor can really engulf himself into it and fill the role. But then also I feel like acting has gone downhill as well, in my opinion. But
yeah, well, there's not enough. I keep saying it again and again, and there's probably a lot of people that can argue against about what I'm gonna say. It's like I can't see the light of day with like really good Hollywood scripts.
Yeah.
So there probably is enough literature out there which could be adapted into a good Hollywood film, but maybe the people that are in charge of making these movies just aren't picking them.
Yeah.
Because it just really, there needs to be some depth to it. Because put it this way, think about the example of witnessing Brad Pitt in, let's say, what's a good example of a really bad Brad Pitt movie that I'm trying to think of. What's a bad Brad Pitt
Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Perfect. Mr. and Mrs. Smith versus like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
There's more depth to the character because Tarantino actually writes out everything and puts the subtle nuances of the character, the backstory, everything. So I think the actor gets a lot more out of that from a director that actually puts in effort. Yeah.
He cares.
He cares, cares about it.
That's it.
Whereas Mr. and Mrs. Smith wasn't too bad.
It wasn't.
I think it's to Brad Pitt's credit that he doesn't have that many bad movies. We're just like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
But then that's also like what was I gonna say? There was what was it? There was a film that came out not too long ago. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Was it the one? Was it the horror movie we watched?
No, not horror movie. It was along those lines with like Quentin Tarantino. Oh yeah, with J.J. Abrams. Yeah, look that up. Apparently, he's literally just come out and said that like, you know, if a movie has his name on it, he'll make extra money, but he doesn't care, like, because it's J.J. Abrams or whatever, Abrams or however you say his name.
Abrams.
Yeah, Abrams. But it's like, you know, it's a similar thing with, like, you know, Michael Bay and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, if it's got Michael Bay on it, it must be full of explosions and this and that. But does he really care about films anymore? Because he's already made so much money from the Transformers
When
series.
the fuck was the last movie he made?
Yeah,
Like,
Michael Bay, yeah.
Shit, man. He hasn't made anything in like 10 years.
Yeah, he just disappeared after Transformers, I guess.
I think he just stopped making movies, bro.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's Nolan. Nolan's a great, Christopher Nolan. Like, he's a good example of like a wide array of movies, and they're all very captivating.
Did he do Interstellar at all?
He did do Interstellar. He also
That's
did the Batman trilogy.
Yeah.
Did that.
Well, with
Bale.
Bale, yeah.
Yeah, he
And
did
so
it with
they're
Bale.
amazing ones.
They're good ones, yeah.
They're really good films.
Yeah,
And
in
there's-
comparison to the other acting in all the other Batman movies.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson was good as the Joker.
Yeah, I
like
do agree
in
with
previous
that.
Batman movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, just crazy.
But it's like what you said back before. It's like it's a feature of the times, though.
Yeah.
Because back then it would have been amazing. But then it's like they had that period where they could actually turn Batman into, like, you know, really dark and almost villainous kind of thing. But he wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's just like they could actually do that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, you know, look at the new Batman, Justice League. It's just like it's a kid's show.
I think there needs to be some sort of like, there has to be some sort of cultural shift when it comes to the arts and in some period of time.
Yeah.
Because everything's becoming so watered down, so dry, and it's like, put it this way, I don't want to watch a film or a TV series where I feel like I'm being lectured about social justice.
Yeah.
Or something like that, where I'm like, oh God, it feels like I'm at church or something like that.
That's where it's
I
so
want to be entertained.
That's exactly it. But that's where it's so interesting, because I've just started watching the Squid Game, right?
Okay.
And I only watched episode 1, but I thought it was a bit average, to be honest. But it's pretty cool that it's filmed in Korea and it's a Korean TV series kind of thing. But it's Korean, so it's not really fitting to the societal norms of, like, you know, US media and this and that. But it still tries to, like, you know, paint that picture of what it could be like in Korea.
Yeah.
But it's better being international. I find international films more enthralling. Like, they're just interesting films because it's just different. It's like the guy that did Pan's Labyrinth. What's his name?
I don't remember his name. I know you're talking about how he filmed a lot of his films in Spain.
Yeah, in
and
Spain.
Mexico.
And, like, you know, there was
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, and then what's that film he did with the mermaid guy?
Guillermo del Toro.
And, like, his films are amazing. Have you watched, like, Pan's Labyrinth or anything?
I've heard of it.
You should watch it.
It's good,
like,
yeah?
It's just it's not normal filmmaking in a way. It
Right.
is, and it's storytelling from a Spanish guy in a way.
Okay, yeah.
So it's his own interpretation. It's like Quentin Tarantino. Like, Quentin Tarantino films are Tarantino films, right?
Yeah.
And this Del Toro are Del Toro films. But then, like,
Del Toro.
Can you pull up
Yeah, Shape of Water.
Shape of Water? Can you pull up? Yeah. So this film, right? This caused so much controversy
Why?
because apparently it's like you have a lady who falls in love with a fish man, and I think I don't want to. You can't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it was like. I think it was the transgender community that got really upset about it. I think. Nah, but I don't know. But as I say, you can't quote me on it. Yeah, don't do that. Look down in controversy though. See what it says.
It doesn't appear to be. There's plagiarism accusations.
Yeah, I remember hearing about plagiarism, but I just remember seeing stuff where people were trying to get it pulled from cinemas and stuff.
Right.
And it's just like, it's crazy because, like, it's a Spanish film,
Yeah.
you know? So, like, it's from a different perspective in a way.
Yeah.
And then that's like, you know, what we were saying before, where it's like, you know, things have to check these boxes, unfortunately, in today's day and age, which it's not a bad
Well,
thing.
who's checking them? I really want to know.
Well,
I want to know. I imagine like this kind of like committee.
Yeah, it is.
They're all,
I reckon it would be
kind of like
committee, yeah.
just appease one another. Just like, ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird thing.
But that's where it is just so interesting because it's like
No.
cinemas are going down.
Yeah.
You know, music industry is going down.
What's your thought? I know this we're probably going to go down a rabbit hole when I ask this question.
Don't make it too controversial.
Your thoughts on aliens?
Aliens.
Do you believe in them?
Well, you'd be silly not to.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because there.
Too many stars out there to not be.
That's it. Too many stars. Too much space. Too many galaxies. Too many everything. Like you'd be.
What
silly
do they
not
look
to.
like though? What do you reckon?
No, that's the. I don't know.
Imagine.
I reckon from the movie Alien. Like,
Yeah, I reckon
face huggers and
So
stuff.
I reckon if it was an alien, it would be like E.T.
E.T.?
I want one of those cute little aliens with like a,
yeah,
a
you
glowing
just,
finger.
You just want them to be cute. No, I reckon potentially it could be the grey people like that.
The grey
Yeah,
people.
the Greys.
Oh,
Could be them.
yeah.
Could be them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. It could be them. Yeah, but holy shit, if it's them.
Me too.
Yeah.
With his was it
Just
like
look up the-
Reese's Pieces?
Look
The
up
Reese's
type of
Pieces?
aliens and see what it comes up with.
Like making like how much money they make. It was like they made like tens if not hundreds of millions of dollars advertising Reese's Pieces on YouTube.
Yeah, really, from Reese's
Yeah,
Pieces.
Reese's Pieces.
But look up types of aliens and just see what Google pops back up with. Because
Yeah.
like so many different people have different ideas of what they could potentially look like. You know, it's like people believe
Oh, yeah,
in
you see
lizard
this
men.
And this one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
kinda like very angelic. It's interesting. It's interesting now interpretations of aliens as well.
But I
And
really
then
think,
creative
bloody
concept.
mosquito. I really think though that if you don't believe in aliens in today's day and age, like you're too wrapped up in religion. But that's
Yeah.
controversial though. But it's
I don't know if it is controversial because you've got a point there. Because
But religion was a good thing back in the day, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it was a group of morals to be able to teach people how they should and should not behave in society, kind of thing. Because
Yeah.
you didn't have TV, you didn't have internet.
I still believe that people have like a consciousness outside of religion, like
Yeah.
the ability to distinguish between right and wrong. Don't get me wrong, there are outliers of a society who are like sociopathic and
Yeah.
all kinds of things.
I think
you can-
generally people are good.
In general, I think people have a moral compass.
Yeah.
I don't believe that they're inherently good.
Yeah, because what's
I
the
just-
concept of good?
Yeah. I just think that, everyone's got it.
Yeah.
But some people are kind of like rejected or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
But
so
that-
on that note, I think we have to end it because we're going a bit over time, man.
Oh,
It's
yeah, shit, we're
9:13.
15 minutes over.
Yeah, 50 minutes
Okay.
over of the regular scheduled programming.
There we go.
There you go, man.
Cool.
All right. Yeah, well, it's been good having you on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So, yeah, well, if you want, next year, get you back on. We can have another spiel.
Easy.
Just keep the conversations going. Talk
Yeah.
about all sorts of controversial
Go
stuff.
full into it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Interesting.
All right. So, this has been episode 95, right? And, where are we? Next week on Tuesday. Wraparound sound? Wraparound. Sammy Maynard. A friend of mine has somehow hooked me up with that girl. I can't remember. Sometimes it gets like this. It's like so many guests are booking. I'm like, do I know them? I think I know them. Maybe
You
I know
must.
them. That's
Must.
it somehow.
Just rock up. Is
I
this
hope,
the place?
I hope they're not watching because it's like, oh, like,
There's 95 episodes, man. That's a lot of people.
that's a lot of people. And we've
Alright.
only ever repeated Sub Era twice, 3 times. I'm pretty sure.
Reviewed Sub Era and Tim and Adam Dalton a few times, and that's it. That's
Yeah.
legit it.
2 guests.
There's a lot of
well,
names.
two people.
I'm looking forward to. No one can see this because of the stream, but I'm looking forward to writing on this wall.
Yeah, Damo,
The
can you
wall.
showcase the wall, please?
You can try.
Look how full it is now.
Beautiful. Look at that.
Like it is so.
I will not draw a phallus. Don't worry.
No, you better not. All
All
right,
Suez Canal.
but we will see you guys next week. So, thanks for watching, and yeah, catch you.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Yeah.